This is a combination lock using only bookshelves. And this is a creeper anxiety machine that's sure to make your friends nervous. And this is every amazing thing you can build with redstone. And hey, the YouTube Samurai tells me that it's possible to subscribe to the channel using your nose. So if you want to try it out, then plant your schnoz on that white subscribe button under the video. It's free and it helps out a ton. Pressure plates are great for making simple automatic doors, but the truth is what works for us can also work for evil mobs. Since here we've got a piston door that only opens up for players. It'll never open up for other mobs. The only downside is it screams at you. And see, the reason for this doesn't just come down to the skulk sensor, but rather the skulk shrieker. See, just using a calibrated skulk sensor alone would detect for any movement, but we're filtering that out by using this skulk shrieker. And at that point, it powers the note block and we're able to walk inside. Maybe just a pain to your ears. Whatever it is, it's cool by me. Here's how to have Minecraft redstone without any redstone. Since with calibrated skulk sensors, we can make completely wireless telegraph poles like this. And I think what this user did by actually having it look like a 5G tower is pretty nice. And so in the past, we might have used walls to transport our signals without redstone wiring. When you see the signal move along these through the redstone lamps, it's hard to say this isn't more satisfying. Is it instant? No. Maybe we're using more 3G instead of 5G, but as someone who barely had any Gs before this is pretty good for me. Chiseled bookshelves not only give us a new container to play around with, but also a new way to grab a redstone signal. And because they give out a different redstone signal every time that you take it from one of the different slots, if you were to take out a book and place it back into that slot, then we essentially have a 6-digit different combination lock. And then, as Ang's built it out here, once you type in any of the wrong combinations, it just closes up the door, so anyone who's not supposed to be there can't get in. And it gives us an easy way to shut it without having to type in the whole garage code again. I think both are nice. Minecraft's had its fair share of useless machines, but this might just have to be my favorite. And see, what's happening here is that we have two observers facing each other, with two sticky pistons facing into each other as well, so that when we start the redstone signal up above these redstone blocks, they just push each other back and forth, giving you a pretty mesmerizing sight. I mean, honestly, I think that Minecraft's loading screen should just be one of these instead of whatever loading bar they have. It'd be a lot more creative, but regardless, while the original post says that this isn't much, I'm one to disagree. And if it gives me something to show off to my friends, that's something I could be proud of too. Here we might have a candidate for the weirdest achievement in Minecraft history, which is a target block that once you shoot it, will not only shoot you back, but it'll actually shoot you back with the exact same arrow that you used originally. And at this point, is it supposed to be given us bullseye? Is it supposed to be given return to sender? I really have no clue. I think it should give you some combination of all three, or maybe a special one at that. I'd be fine with any of them. This is a snow block. This is a powdered snow block, and this is a powdered snow block death trap. With the way that Carves designed this, if we bounce a player up and down on a slime block like so, they can't mine fast enough to escape the snowy situation. Even an enchanted netherite shovel can't do the trick. It's that bad. And by adding blocks like crafting tables and furnaces around the perimeter, they can't even right-click to escape. Ouch. Say, for example, you're looking to get yourself up on top of a second floor, but there's no staircase or ladder in sight. Well, if we closely examine this button, we can see that's not an issue. By giving that a press, a slime block will pop out of the floor and launch us to wherever we need to go. It's hidden, it's sneaky, and it's definitely fun to use. So really, if you haven't taken the time to put together a hidden slime block launcher, what are you waiting for? It's not a big investment to make, and if you don't have any use for it yet, then you should probably find one. It's just that fun to put together. My friend set up this ender pearl stasis chamber to get himself out of danger, but with a few arrows, we can make that into the opposite. See, if we just drop a handful of arrows bouncing right where we know they'll teleport, we can make sure that whenever they get back, it'll be a real surprise. And to get rid of even the most stacked of players, take after this user Malorum and add some TNT minecarts to seal the deal. This armor stand could be lethal. Here's why. See, if we were to stack a bunch of these statues into a pit like so, then any friend who happens to fall in can't break through them fast enough to escape. And since we can have multiple in the same spot, even if they do happen to break one, there's still so many more to deal with before they can break out, letting our potion dispensers take care of the rest. Obviously, going to the nether is a necessity of Minecraft travel. But when you're not using it, nether portals are kind of an eyesore. They're loud, they've got a weird color scheme, and they can definitely spawn some piglins if you're not careful. So to take all that hassle out of your world, you can build a switch like this that'll automatically disable a portal as soon as you go through it. Using a delay circuit like this, we can have it so you stand in the portal, press the button, teleport, and then all the evidence is cleared behind you. Which not only makes for a pretty cool way to get to the nether, but it also saves you the trouble of having an unstable dimensional gate open at all times in your base. Usually you have a minuscule chance of getting struck by lightning, but with this machine, it's a guarantee. See, by setting up a copper lightning rod with a channeling trident, we can bounce it up and down to create an infinite lightning generator, at which point point, it's obvious we're going to be using this on your enemies. And thankfully for us, these strikes have a wide area of effect, meaning that even when they start to escape, you can still deal the final blow. Ask anyone in the redstone community, honey blocks changed the game when they were added in, which for better or worse means you need a lot of them for any redstone contraptions you're putting together these days. So obviously we gotta put our buzzing bees to work and get ourselves a honey farm. Using the designs that people like Ilmango and others have put together, we're able to not only get our bee barf in a pretty small footprint, but we can also stack it. The result is a clean-cut way to get all the honey blocks that you'll ever need. And if you're willing to breed all the bees to get enough of them, then you can definitely put one of these together to get all those honey blocks in a relatively fast time. This trap is completely invisible, since by using the moving piston block, formerly called block 36, we're able to keep falling block entities from going back into solid form, which means that we can keep falling blocks sitting right in place with no collision box. And from there, as soon as the player walks over it, they're just gonna fall through without even noticing what happened. And while the methods for getting block 36 are pretty complex, such as using end crystals in conjunction with pistons, as soon as you find out how to get one of these, the only thing left for you to answer is how do you kill them once they fall through? Because with this design, it's almost a guarantee that they will. By creating this figure 8 shape of powered rails and regular rails like so, we're able to space it out in such a way where even though this creeper thinks that it should be exploding next to us, it never gets close enough to finish the job. And which gives you probably the most rare kind of creeper that you can see. I mean, this is basically albino by how much it's staying primed. And I think this comment has the right idea. Even though this machine is great, they should really take this entire design and go and make a theme park built around this kind of creeper anxiety. Just be careful building one of these in survival. If you don't get the timing just right, you might end up with anxiety for an entirely different reason. While anvils definitely have their place in your Minecraft world, it is unfortunate having to go and run back to fix one every time your old one breaks. So to save any embarrassment of having to go back and fix one of these together in a crafting grid, all we need is a straightforward anvil refilling system. All we do is count the different damage states of the anvil until eventually, when it knows it breaks, we just place down a new one. Almost like a gift from God, it drops from the heavens, and now you're ready to get going on any and all enchanted books you gotta put together. If you find a elytra near my base, this happens. And how do we trigger this? Well, silly as it may seem, we have a cow on top of a pressure plate and unloaded chunks. Then when a player flies nearby, it steps off, and the rest is history. Say you want to build a potion shop in your friend's SMP. It's a good business venture, but now you gotta fill up more bottles than anyone has time for. So to fix this problem, all you gotta build is an automatic water bottle filler. This does right as the name implies. You input any glass bottles at the top, it spits out the filled ones down below, and you're good to go. Meaning you have plenty of time to focus on the more important and fun part of a brewing business, which is of course the brewing. Honestly, leave the grunt work to the machines and just save all your artisanship for where it's actually needed. Watch this trap closely, because if you blink, you might just miss what happened. See, what Mr. Cube and Branzy made here is an effective way to teleport someone into the end, and then before they've noticed, it'll kill them in the void. See, all this happens due to a glitch where if you push someone with a piston underneath the end portal, it'll teleport them to the exact coordinates in the end, and unless they're ready with an elytra, that should guarantee a quick kill. In this case, we're going to use a decoy trap to set the real one. So while your friend might think they're being sneaky by jumping over this obvious spiked pit trap, I mean, come on, trapdoors and a tripwire are a dead giveaway. What's actually happening is that they'll jump right over, only to fall into the real trap that reveals from the floor. And while this original design was made before skulk sensors were in the game, I mean, come on, that makes it even easier to do this kind of thing. And I love the idea of making them think that they got away with murder, only for you yourself to get away with theirs. Most of us don't want to babysit, so when you got your stuff smelting up in a furnace, you really don't want to watch every single second of it. But it still would be nice to know when it's done. So to fix those two problems, we're able to build a very simple alert system to tell you when the furnace is done smelting. No matter what item you got cooking up, as soon as it finishes, you're gonna get a little tune in your ear and then you'll know, oh, my thing is done. Believe me, it's not complex, but putting one of these together in your world is a nice little reminder for whenever you're trying to get jobs done. That way you can still multitask at your base without having to worry about losing any efficiency. The best place to put a trap is where you least expect it. And I don't know about you, but I generally don't plan on my ladder being the death of me. But after seeing this, I'll have to reconsider. Now the setup here is actually quite simple, but I love the execution. The idea is that our victim climbs up their ladder, flips the trapdoor to exit, and then that leads to a piston to shift the wall and break all of their ladders. From there, we drop them into lava, TNT, or just about anything else to finish the job, and it's as simple as that. In a lot of ways, concrete can be a very handy block to have around, but converting a lot of powder is not on anyone's to-do list. So it's it's in your best interest to make a simple concrete converter. Much like a tree farm, if you place the concrete powder in your offhand and a pickaxe in your main, all you gotta do is just hold down your mouse buttons and you're gonna convert all of that concrete as much as you want. Heck, even fill up the dropper with plenty more concrete stacks and it'll actually refill you as you're going through. Meaning that with extra hoppers and chest storage, there's really no limit to how much concrete you convert here. If your friend's been hyping up their new set of fully enchanted netherite armor, it can get pretty annoying, especially if you're still lagging behind and trying to get the other materials. So to even the playing field a bit, how about we build a helmet breaker trap? As it turns out, if you put anvils like so and have them drop into a bubble stream elevator, then after enough time falling, the game actually treats it like they're falling from an immense height. And luckily for us, that means they're going to do a whole bunch of damage to your friend's helmet. Meaning next time they're sure to AFK less and maybe keep their mouth shut. There's no two ways about it. If you're gonna be spending a lot of time in a Minecraft world, you're gonna need wood. So of course, that means you gotta turn to tree farms. The way this particular farm works is that we set up our mouse in such a way that we're constantly right-clicking and left-clicking as needed, which means we'll place all our saplings, break all the logs, and then repeat the process ad nauseum. Now, there are two disclosures we gotta mention here. For one, every log that you get out of this is gonna be stripped. And secondly, while this farm can work with a few different wood types, if you're using spruce and jungle, then it's just gonna cost a bit more bone meal. In the recent updates, piglin bartering has been a huge help to Minecraft, but if you don't have the best luck on the market, it can take a while. So in that case, building a piglin bartering machine like this is super simple to do, and it can save you a lot of time. The way it works is super simple. All you need to do is just fill the machine with gold and then press the button to let it work. And the way that it does it is super straightforward. All that happens is that a golden ingot will go onto the pressure plate, the piglin will pick it up, and then that'll alert the system to refill. Just like that, you got an endless cycle going, and you'll be able to get the bartering trades going straight down into chest for your uses. I don't need to tell you folks that elytras can be a great amount of fun in your world. Though I should mention, if you're looking to add on to that enjoyment, then you gotta get yourself an elytra launcher. If we make sure to run at this system at a 45-degree angle, then all of a sudden we're gonna be taken to the skies just like that. Making this a pretty solid way to get a decent boost if you don't got a lot of fireworks coming through yet. Giving you an easy to build and fun to use way to get around your base. And really, who doesn't want a little extra spring in their step every now and then? No one I want to hang out with, that's for sure. If your friend uses any cobblestone in their paths, then this is the perfect way to make them lose their sanity. You see, by setting up a cobblestone generator with pistons right underneath one cobblestone block, then after every so interval, it'll pop up a new cobblestone block out of the floor, meaning they'll walk by, get confused, and break it, only to find the same block is back the next morning. And since most of the time they'll just break the top block and not look beneath, this prank is great for causing long-term stress to your poor pal. Unless they decide to use a macro or way down a key on their keyboard, AFK players aren't the most active. So to fix that, one of my favorite things to do is put my AFK friends inside of an AFK loop-de-loop machine like this. Through the help of slime blocks, pistons, and ice blocks, you're able to completely get them cycling around this perpetual motion machine, giving them enough motion to make sure they don't get kicked for being AFK, and you quite the spectacle to watch as they're trapped. Whether you need sugar for speed potions or plenty of pages for your books, a sugarcane farm really stands out in your world. And lucky for us, with the help of new redstone systems and blocks, these have gotten so simple to build. And better yet, if you use a design like we have on screen, you can actually stack these modules to get even more sugarcane for whatever your needs are. You can just take the sugarcane as it comes and put it into whatever uses you got, which means you get to enjoy yourself a sugar high without having to worry about the inevitable crash afterwards. All we need is a few spider eyes and we can make one of the deadliest traps for your friends. Since by brewing up a mix of 3 potions, an instant damage 2 pot, slowness 4, and poison 2, we can cram all of those together in a dispenser and then use this player detection model using a carpet over a redstone ore, so that when they walk on top, they'll be quickly greeted by death from all directions. And since potions can hurt players even through armor, this might be the simplest way for you to bring your overpowered friends down to their low point. And hey, you can even brew up multiple potions at the same time, so you'll have plenty of chances to get it right. Now, I'll admit, throwing items into lava is fun. It's an easy way to get rid of trash, and plus, you get to have the fun of destroying something. But when you've got too much rubbish that you don't know what to do with, then really you should be looking into getting an auto dropper system. Folks, by putting one of these in your world, we've got the full setup for an automatic trash can disposal. This one does as it says on the tin. You fill it up, and then as soon as you leave it, it's going to throw all of your items into the abyss. So whether you're using lava, the void, or in our case, a cactus, just choose whatever block of destruction you want to use and send your items goodbye. Killing your friend's pet is an evil prank. That's why we're not going to be the ones to do it. Rather, they will be. Since with a trap like this, we're giving our friend the choice to choose which lever they need to pull to save their pet. So which of these levers do you think is the one that's going to be able to save their pet? Yeah, I thought that one too. but not so much. Since if you really want to be cruel, you could set this up also as a fake system, where regardless of which lever they pull, their pet's gonna meet the same fate, to put it lightly. And to be extra cruel, you could also have one of the levers just drop TNT on top of them, so at least they won't be losing their pet, they'll both be going to the same spot. It's just a little further away from here than they thought. Shulker boxes have been an invaluable addition to Minecraft ever since they got added in. But while they're good at cleaning up your survival inventory, sometimes it's annoying to have to take all the items manually out of a shulker box and put it into your chests. So to save yourself that headache, a shulker unloader is a really easy solution that's gonna save you a lot of time down the road. Just like that, you put your shulker boxes in the top chest, press the button, and it'll start unloading all of the shulkers into the chest below. From here, you could have the items go into an item sorter or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. As long as you build one of these, you're really gonna be saving yourself some time next time that you gotta clear out your inventory. Next time your friend goes underground, they should make sure to look at the ceiling, since if they're not careful, they could be standing under this trap, where, once activated, breaks the sign and then drops thousands of gravel on top of the player, which if you stack it high enough, it's gonna be tough for them to escape before they die, even if they were to have an instant mine shovel. Oh, and not to mention that the same setup could cause a lot of client-side lag, which is annoying, but it adds to the effectiveness. If they're slow to react, they're gonna be slow to escape too. Cooked chicken is a staple in a Minecraft player's diet, and a lot of that is because Minecraft chickens are so easy to farm. Look no further than this design. It's gotten so simple to put together an auto chicken cooker that really it goes well whenever you want to build it. Although the main thing to note if you're trying to build this is that the hopper minecart should be put on the slab before you build any of the rest of the machine. If you don't have that in place, then you're going to lose a lot of unnecessary items to burning. And as soon as you got that in place, you'll be able to get all the lava fried chicken your heart desires with a design that Colonel Sanders would definitely approve of. This is the deadliest cave in Minecraft, since even though it looks safe from above, as soon as our player gets into position, then what happens here is that the floor comes out from under them, and because we broke bedrock, the only choice they'll have is to fall right into the void. And then if we were to seal it up with a block with a high mining time, like netherite in this example, it's not possible to come back up, even if you have an elytra. And as long as it's sealed flush with the bedrock as well, they can't even place any blocks to trying to support themselves, meaning they've only got one choice out of here, and it's not a pretty one. Beacons are a universally great block in Minecraft, but it turns out they've got one slight flaw. The beacon actually cannot provide the full regeneration effect when it's turned on. Rather, you gotta turn it off and back on intermittently to get the full effect. Which, admittedly, it sounds like a glitch, but for as long as it's in the game, you should be solving it with one of these, a beacon enabler switch. All we're having here is just a timer system that turns the beacon on and off when we need it to. And until Mojang takes the time to tighten the screws on this problem, then this is really the best way to get your regen effect through and through. Making a shop on a server is a great way to make profit. But see, where most businesses go wrong is that they sell products that actually work. And that's how we're going to increase our profit margin. Since by having a weapons, armor, or tool shop where the items are dispensed out to your friends, we can have it so that they have no idea that they're actually buying tools that are almost near broken. At least until it's too late. And to make that armor even better, give it Curse of Binding, and then they'll really be stuck with having to wear it right until its bitter end. But luckily for them, that's coming soon. And the best part is that they can't even salvage the item back in an anvil, since once it's on them, it's on them. While animal farms can be very easy to build in Minecraft, sometimes you want to get the butchering off your hands. So in that case, for all your meat needs, this is really all you gotta build. The way that it works is that we breed the animals, we overstuff it with entity cramming, and then any new ones will kill off the old ones through, well, getting squished. The result might not be humane, and it's definitely not free range, but hey, the results that you get from this is really nothing to sneeze at. There's no reason you shouldn't be putting one of these in your world, especially early on when you're trying to fill up your belly. Bad traps stick out like a sore thumb. Which is why, if you see a random pressure plate out in the open, most of us know not to step on it. But that's the whole point of this. You see, we want our victim to expect that it's trapped, break the pressure plate, and then the real trap goes in motion. The item is then sucked up by the hopper minecart, goes into a real hopper, and then a comparator sets off a signal, and the rest is history. Now, while you could be more cruel here by adding in more TNT minecarts, I think this actually could work really well in a rigged desert temple. That, folks, would be a surprise for sure, and one that's likely to leave them with no items to their name. When you're looking to smelt a bunch of items, then charcoal stands out as a great fuel source. But if you're getting tired of having to do all the manual labor of chopping down the logs, putting them into the furnaces, and then cycling it back to be fuel, then this machine will save you a couple hassles. You see, the way it works is that this machine is self-refueling. This machine will actually burn through every log it's got, and then take some of the fuel to then refuel the new logs getting burnt. Then just like that, you're gonna have all the fuel necessary for every super smelter you need in the future. And more importantly, you'll be energy independent while you do it. Planting trees around your base can really bring a build together, especially if you design some of them custom. That is, until your friend comes by and decides to break the bottom two logs of the tree trunk for a craft. And now, all you got is a bunch of eyesores. Well, to solve that problem, let's teach them a one-time lesson that the Lorax would even approve of. By setting up an observer system like such, we can have it so that when they break the log, the chop gets recognized, and then an explosion takes care of the rest. And better yet, by using TNT minecarts in this way, the detonation gets to near instantaneous levels. So, whichever log they take from you, we can make sure it'll be their last. Having an armor dispenser like this is a big flex, except not when you have this one. Since if your friend were to only take the time to look inside, they'd notice that what actually happens here is that they're coated in lava, which is then next to some hidden waterlogged blocks. Meaning after you use the system, you're going to be quickly encased in obsidian, and that'll suffocate them before they can mine themselves out. And considering that this kind of system is typically used by someone who's new to the world or recently died, the odds of them having a diamond pickaxe fast enough to get themselves out of there is close to zero. Meaning that if they just died, they're probably going to be dying again soon. Finding the ancient debris necessary to get netherite is a real hassle to do. And while sure, having plenty of beds and TNT to do that process does speed it up, what if you don't have a lot of resources? Well, if you still got a hankering for explosions, then you gotta build a TNT duper for netherite mining. Basically what we're doing is we're dropping TNT onto an obsidian platform and then using all of that new TNT explosion power to then explode further and further out into the mines. And while you are gonna have to look out for those pesky lava pockets, really, you're clearing out so many blocks with this anyway, that you can just move it around and you won't even waste time. Going over lava in the nether is a huge pain. So if you yourself still don't have an elytra and you're trying to get around the dimension, this is definitely the way to do it. You gotta build a basalt bridge maker. Through the help of flying machines and some extra potent ice, we can actually have it where this machine will get set off and just make a straight line of basalt right in front of it. And to its credit, all these new pathways that you'll be making work really nicely with all the biome colors that you're passing, making it not only a practical choice for nether traversal, but also one that seems to blend in. Few things in Minecraft are truly unbreakable. I mean, even bedrock can be broken in some form, and that's the unbreakable block. But while we might stand a chance of breaking blocks when we stand on steady ground, it's a different story when they're on the move. Through the help of flying machines, it's possible to make a proper working flying cage trap to take your enemies right up to build limit. But what we really should mention here is that by using blocks such as honeycomb that can't be easily mined, they'll be in for a bad time. As you can see, as the blocks keep moving, the break time keeps resetting. So if your foe doesn't have the proper kit to break it down, they'll be stuck on the one-way journey with no hope in sight. If you've ever cared for a plant, then you know that these suckers need a ton of light. But apparently, we can use that to our advantage. We can actually use this for a system that can automatically harvest crops when the lights go off. You see, the way that this works is that the game requires a certain amount of light level for the crops to be planted. So if we just switch off the redstone lamp, bam, everything is harvested in an instant. And then, since farmland isn't a full block, we can just have a set of hoppers underneath and collect the stuff just like that. Sure, this does share a lot of similarities to water-based systems, and while it might not be a full replacement, you have to admit, it looks pretty cool in action. This composter doesn't look like much, but it's actually my base. Don't believe me? Here, I'll show you. If we just step inside and throw an item right into place, a hidden hopper minecart will trigger and cause this redstone machine to push us right into place. And bam, hidden entrance. And while it's hard to notice what's happening from above, this Reddit user's post makes the mechanics a lot more obvious. Just make sure you place this in a village where it makes sense for there to be a composter. Otherwise, this hidden base could just stick out like a sore thumb. Getting an elytra is a great thing, but getting to the end cities, not so much. And unfortunately for us, it's always tougher to get an elytra when you don't already have an elytra. So to save yourself the headache of building across the end void gaps, why don't we get a bit more technical instead? See, with the help of a flying machine, we can build a vessel perfect for the journey to the outer island. Now, granted, stopping or turning the ship might be a bit of a problem, but with the proper planning, this could save you from placing thousands of blocks while searching. And if you ask me, I'd much rather take this passive option compared to that. Anyone who's ever messed around with the technical side of Minecraft is well and familiar with the concept of a mob switch. That is, you get a bunch of withers in a cage, make sure they don't despawn, and no new hostile mobs are going to be giving you trouble. It's a great system, but it's definitely costly. So a simpler and safer option to do is instead having a zombie villager mob switch. You see, if you trade with a villager and then zombify it, this will make them both unable to despawn and also count towards the mob cap. This is actually a great way to put zombie villagers to use and, in turn, actually keep all other villages safe. Pufferfish tend to scare really easily. One step too close to this thing and boom, poison. It's a nuisance when you're swimming around the water, but as soon as you put one of these in a pufferfish player detector, it does a lot of work. Rest assured that anyone who stands way too close to this, whether it's you, another player, even mobs mobs and armor stands, this thing will detect them. And then from there, you can use that redstone signal for whatever your choice is, be that a secret entrance or, more likely, a secret trap. It's really startling to see how much damage you can do with one of these systems. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video, so see if they're right and have a good one, alright?